Oh, good evening. Welcome to the study session, October 8th, 2024. Danielle, would you do a roll call, please?
Yes, I will. Councilmember Blush.
Here.
Councilmember Stearns.
Here.
Councilmember Gilmore.
Here.
Mayor Onisco.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sherman.
Here.
Councilmember Sapp.
Here.
And Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here. Thank you, Danielle. Tonight, Public Works Director Jay Harris has some information regarding lead service lines.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Jay Harris, Public Works Director, and Council too. I can't forget about that. So I have a PowerPoint presentation for you this evening. And so, go to the next slide. So that's what most people see when they open their tab, right? And so in 1991, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, had the first version of the lead and copper rule. There were some subsequent amendments in 2004, that sort of thing. The latest amendment came out in 2021. I'll go over that in a minute. But the first lead and copper rules had it applied to public water systems and other type of water systems, but it definitely applies to us. So there's a water quality monitoring schedule, which I attached to the packet, and then you can see in here. Lead and copper is one of the items in here, and we got to do every 3 years, 30 samples. So it's sent through the EPA rules, state monitors it though, looks at the results, agrees with our findings, that sort of thing. So we go around, since we have a lot of single family structures, they really want to test those and at the 30 of them. So we just did 2024, which was also the packet, and everything was under the reporting level and the regulatory action level. So anyways, for those 30 homes that we tested, that was good. When you go back to 2021 to the prior tests, same thing, we had 30 houses. There was lead detected, at really, really low levels. But way below any regulatory action levels. So I didn't go look at the 2018, but talking to the water staff, they said that we've never had a hit on any of the 30 houses we've tested to date. The EPA requires us to submit the results to those 30 homes. Once we're done with that, it takes a couple of weeks. So that test is interesting though, that we contact them. They have to agree, we drop off a water bottle, and then first thing in the morning, they draw water out, put it, before you run anything else, you draw it out of the tap, put it out on your front porch, we go retrieve it that next morning, we send it to the lab, and then we get back to them with the results, and that's what you see here, those results. So that's good news in the system. We're doing good on the 30 homes. These homes, some of them are the same every year. Some people don't want to do it again. And so it tends to vary. And the addresses are around the city. So that's what that is there. Next slide. So what the lead and copper rule was one to start testing the systems. And then if you see things in the systems that need to be replaced, start taking care of them. There wasn't a ton of mandatory requirements unless you were finding in the 30 samples that they were above the action level. Then there's a whole bunch of things in 1991 you had to go do. We had never met that threshold though. But when we find, and most of them are galvanized water services from the main line to the meter, galvanized, and they use lead goosenecks sometimes. And what the gooseneck did was it go off the tap and go down to the 3-foot trench. So a little tiny section of the water line is lead. And that's what on the bottom left there, that's an example of a gooseneck that was on the system. In the last 20 years, most of those have gone away. Most of the galvanized, a lot of the galvanized services have gone away. We put in what we call poly pipe. Or PEX. In lieu of the galvanized service, we put in a whole new service. So you can see here, the public main lines on the left there. I'm looking at the upper photo. That's the blue thing there. There's a corporation stop. What that is if we're having a hard time with your water line, we can go dig it up at the main. There's a little valve there we can turn off. And usually we put in a new service. So from the meter to the main line, the corp stop allows us to shut off that part of it. And then there's a curb stop at the meter box that we can shut off. If there's problems from there to the house or at the meter, which we can shut it off and take the meter out, obviously, and put it in one end. So and you can see the private side. So you got the curb stop or the meter at the property line, back of sidewalk in a lot of instances. And so the private side is people's front yards in most cases. And then the pipe goes inside of the house. And so there's differing type pipes in each segment. So when you look at the public side, a lot of ours are PEX, copper tubing, which is important. It's copper tubing, not pipe. There's no lead solder in it because there's no joints. It's all one piece. I don't know if you've ever seen that stuff coiled up before. But so we have copper tubing, PEX pipe, and some galvanized services stay out of there. The wood pipe is long gone. Service lines and laterals. And so when you get to the meter though, the private side depended a lot on when the house was built. And I have some tables and stuff to show you in a minute of what people put in there. So typically it was galvanized. A lot of homes were built with galvanized pipes, typically with no lead pipe in that. It goes from the meter, goes to your house, goes to the wall. Some houses have galvanized pipe in them also. A lot of those houses have probably replaced that pipe though. Galvanized pipe doesn't have a long lifespan. A lot of it was put in the 60s, 70s sort of thing. That pipe's gone away. Most people cut it out and are putting, they have brand new PEX pipe in or copper pipe. So copper pipe in the house was really common. Lead solder in the joints went out in 1986. Okay, that's an important date because the little bit of lead in the solder can leach a bit into your lines. And so, and I'll get into that in a moment in the new rules that just came out. So does anybody have any questions about the system? No? Next slide, please.
How long can a private person put in lead piping in their home?
They can.
But when did that stop?
After 1986.
After 86,
Yep.
okay.
So we're gonna do it, we're playing the video.
Okay.
So this is a good general information from AWWA. And you might see a slight ad here for a second because it comes from YouTube. So right click on it and say link or open link. That it worked in my office last week. But almost all bets are off right now. But we can get back to this too. It's okay, we know you have the advanced IT degree. Oh, is that what it is? They're coming up on the screen?
No, it's coming up.
Oh, it's not showing up there.
Oh,
okay.
It says I'm sharing, but it's not screen sharing. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Well,
We can continue on.
Okay.
Let's just continue on.
Okay.
And then we might get out of this presentation and maybe Google it and then share that
Yeah.
screen after because it's on
YouTube.
Okay, so in 2021, new rules came out. We have to inventory the public and private sections of the service lines. So remember that isn't the main line, it's the service line. So that's from the main line to the meter and the meter to the house that an inventory needs to be completed. And then we need to meet some specific lead and copper rule requirements. So remember I was telling you about that gooseneck to a galvanized? That is considered a lead line. You can go remove the lead gooseneck, but if you find a galvanized line, you gotta go look and see if there's any lead on the line. take that out and you're good under their new rules. Our goal is to get rid of, we don't want any service lines that are galvanized because they're nearing end of life. We're gonna, if we find any of those, we're gonna replace those. So we need to submit an inventory to the state by October 16th. The city's already done that. By November 30th, we need to send every customer a note that if we don't know what the service lines are in the street, the public, or in your yard, the private, we need to tell you, we're not sure what those are yet. Isn't the greatest news. So, and then if we don't determine what they are, we gotta send an annual letter to all those people that we don't know what their lines are every year until we can figure out what it is, okay? Next slide. And so it gets good though. So, we hired, Grant Osborne did an inventory of all the service lines for us. So, they were able to look at, lines that were put in after 1986. There's no lead in any of those, in the service lines. They were, able to look at install dates for the main lines to determine obviously when the service lines were put in. They also went and looked at the assessor data of when the house was built to determine if it was after 1986 also. Also, staff had some institutional knowledge and some records of stuff that was before 86 that they knew was lead. Those were design plans, as-built, that sort of thing. So we get down and our engineering consultant gave us, there's 229 unknown public services. So that's good news. Out of, 2,800 services, we have 229 that we're not 100% sure what's in the street, okay? And it's only gonna be galvanized, copper tubing, or open PEX, right? So if it's copper tubing, it's okay, but if it's galvanized, it's likely out of those 229, we're probably gonna be replacing those. On the private unknown services, we didn't keep as good of records because when you're building a water system, you put in the main line, you put in the services, you put in a meter box. Then they go get a building permit a year later or 2 years later, then tie to the meter, go build their house. We don't have very good records on the private side of the building permits, exactly what pipe went in that yard. They need to meet whatever the plumbing code was in at that time. So the total unknown services is 2881. And so that's an important number. That is the number of people that are gonna get a letter that when we say, we don't know what your service type is, okay? So, we also have a map, so go to the next slide. So this is the map that is in GIS. And so it's great because once we start doing an inventory, and I'll get into that in a minute of how we're gonna actually do this. We go in and those little dots, they're really small on here, but it is the legend for us that says, what is the public? Is it non-lead or copper? What is the private? Is it non-lead or copper? So this allows us to inventory each service in the city and it's in GIS. Once we're updating an inventory, we're gonna make that available on a webpage and a person can go type in their address or go zoom in and go look at what their service type is. Next slide. So some next steps. We got to mail the required letter to 2881 people. And the letter's going to come with a brochure and some other things. We're not trying to freak people out here. So Mary, yeah, we can't. Yeah, we don't want, people are gonna be sent, you guys are gonna get a letter, right? In the mail saying it's likely you have an unknown service type. But we're gonna be doing an inventory of that. And we're gonna have a web page that we're putting out that talks about the lead and copper rules, talks about you can test your water in your house, right? And then in the next 6 months, we have the AMI project. The bid item in the meter replacement project is to dig down. There's a yoke that goes up and holds the meter in place. At each side of the water meter yoke, we're gonna look at the public service, pipe type, and the private service pipe type. So it happened to land at a really good time because we're in there putting a lot of boxes in. So we're gonna be able to determine that. That project's probably about 6 months long, something like that. And so we're gonna be able to complete the inventory in GIS and send a letter back to the people. Or send a letter to them to go to the website to look if they're unsure. We can also go and go replace a few of the last lines that need to get done, that sort of thing. And so people, one thing I skipped over in another slide is schools and daycare centers, okay? We're responsible to check every service line in the city. Prior to 1986, though, fixtures, water fountains, faucets had higher lead content in them, and that's in your house. The schools and daycare centers under RCW and the Washington Administrative Code, they're responsible to do their own testing separate from us. So as their actual water in the building, right? If there's a child, or if you're making bottles, or people are drinking the water in the school, they're responsible to already have their own inventory of their building lines, internal, and then an action plan of how to replace a bunch of fixtures or pipe or whatever the problems are. And then RCW, I think the school compliance is somewhere around 2026 is when they have to have all their projects done. So there is, on the next slide, money available. And so this is from, can you go, yeah, here it is, the bipartisan infrastructure law has some money in safe water funds. And so President Biden today was in Wisconsin talking about this, about $10 billion that's available. And it's going to be primarily for piping and services, but I think you're going to see money over the year that's probably going to fixtures too. So people can go to Home Depot, get a rebate on a new fixture and that sort of thing. So people can start rolling older fixtures out of their private homes or businesses, that sort of thing. So the 11.7 billion, the drinking water state revolving loan fund, that'd be more for a public system where I had a bunch of lead services, where it was actual lead pipe services, that I'd go get a loan to go replace all of those. We're pretty confident that we don't have that problem. We've had a lot of people been out around for a long time, dug up a lot of meters in the city, done a lot of replacements. They haven't found any lead services in the city to date. So I think we're going to be okay on that. The proof will be when we get done with AMI though, right? That we will actually have a true inventory of the whole system. And then I'm going to be checking back in with you folks and tell you the result of that and be getting back to the water customers also. So that's pretty much what I have this evening for this subject. Do you have questions?
I just had a question. So if you were to have a lead pipe from the meter to your house, and if you were to go into your house where the water comes in, would you be able to tell from that point, or do you just have to dig it out?
Correct. So pipes can change type, so you can go partway through, it could have been fixed in the past or that sort of thing. So you're not 100% sure, but we're definitely checking down the meter for both lines. We're going to give information in a brochure that tells you how to identify the pipes under your house, the accessible points that you can see where water comes into the house, that sort of thing.
There could be breaks over time where it's galvanized and they might have threw in and scabbed in.
Replace the working section.
Exactly right, with just some PVC or something.
That white Schedule 40 is
Yeah.
really common for repairs.
Yeah, just some poly with some hose clamps or burn hose and be ready for those with that.
But most of it is to look at both sides. So we're going to look at the meter side both ways, public and private. Homeowners, if they have an older house, should go under the house and bring in a plumber to identify the service type. Maybe digging it up once in the yard would be helpful, right?
And we're saying sometimes under sinks,
Yeah.
sometimes those are exposed and they'll show your plumbing for houses and they're cut in the walls or panels and sort of skeleton some of that pipe.
Yeah.
Where it's actually stubbed out of the wall as a galvanized pipe.
I'm just thinking of my yard. I have a nightmare in my yard. It's-
Yeah.
Where-
Some instances, you might as well just bury a new pipe.
yeah,
Right?
It's cheap.
Yeah, it's rather than trying to find the old one and repair it or replace that, just
Cut it off and go.
burrow in the line.
That's a good point. You used to have to trench all the lines in, and now they have directional boring, where they come out and just put the pipe in and out for hours without digging on your whole yard.
shoot through underground.
They're under driveways a little bit, so.
Well, that would be my solution. if I had a problem.
How's to do that?
We don't recommend laying it on the
77.
ground. Certainly.
I bet you're okay, but.
I don't have any questions.
I only have one question, but it's not about the letter copper. I see it in the water report here. It's on page, let's see, 27 of the report. I was just wondering, it says chlorine disinfectant residual results. It says violation, yes. I was just wondering if you could explain what that is, why that says that. It's page 27, so yeah, probably,
Page 27.
it's the 2023 test results for the city
Yeah.
of Shelton.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, let me get back to you on that.
okay.
We monitor those regularly at the well site, correct, at the injection point, and then as
And,
well as.
yeah, it's a bit others in the city.
And they'll pull it off the spigots and.
Yeah, because we're within. We were 0.2, 1.0, and you don't want to exceed 4. We were well under that. That could just be a text here from staff. Let me check into that though. This is the actual report though.
Okay.
So we might need to amend it.
Okay.
But I'll get back to Mark and we'll get back to you guys on that.
All right, that's all right. Thank you.
And these water quality reports are sent out annually to all of our customers. in the City, it's a requirement. Health records.
Yeah, you can go to our webpage and pick up every year. We go back like 8 years, 10 years on there right now. So you can go way back with these.
Great, thank you.
Good guess. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right. Move on to city manager has information for us regarding affordable housing options.
And does anyone want a hard copy of this, or are you gonna make notes or pass them around? Depends on your perspective, this might be.
You already have one?
Better quality. We brought it up, numerous times, in the budget discussion, housing discussion. At the last meeting, indicated that, the Mason County Housing Health Advisory.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, was considering, making a recommendation. Commissioners, regarding, specifically the affordable housing sales tax, but I want to give you a bit of history. Where we've been, what's in place now, what are some of the options that are available to municipalities to address, affordable housing in local communities. Right now, we have an interlocal agreement with Mason County, and this essentially established a council position on the housing and daycare building. This is a cooperative effort to address affordable housing measures and homelessness stresses in the community. That was established in February of 2019. Not too long after that, the House Bill 1406 was passed, and that gave local jurisdictions the opportunity to opt to not collect or have a pass-through from the state sales tax 0.0073%. So a small amount could be passed back to local jurisdictions for affordable housing programs. At that point, the city executed another interlocal agreement with Mason County to transfer those funds, which was a option under the RCW to transfer those funds to the county. They would essentially just collect those funds on behalf of the city. The city would collect $18,000 at a time for the supported services within that RCW. As it was $18,000, it would probably be more administrative work than really what it was worth. Why not combine those funds with what the county's collecting? We have a representative on the Housing and Health Board as well to better inform the board of the city's intent for these funds at the same time. So the council elected to move in that direction back in October 19th. Again, those funds support the acquiring, rehabilitation, construction of affordable housing, operation and maintenance costs of new units of affordable and supported housing, loans and grants, nonprofits, or affordable housing authorities, repayment of bonds, rental assistance, and costs of 10% distribution. So those are in place now. The county has some other funding options available to them. These are available funding options to municipalities or cities. First is the affordable housing property tax levy. This is under RCW 5. This is both approved. This allows the local jurisdiction municipality to put on the ballot a levy of 50 cents per 1,000, up to 50 cents per 1,000 assessed valuation for up to 10 years for affordable housing projects. This, if it was levied at 50 cents per 1,000 assessed value, the city of Shelton would be just about $617,000 annually is the estimate. And this is for affordable housing crowds, so it's 50% or less of county median income. Affordable home ownership, owner occupied home repair and foreclosure prevention for households, 80% or less of county median income. I will pause at that point. Any questions specific to that measure? Go through the next couple. Okay, great. Real estate excise tax, RCW 8246035. This is under REIT 2 or the real estate excise tax. It's councilmatic. This the council is already actually back in commission form of government imposed REIT 1 and REIT 2. This is applicable through January 1 of 2026, where you can use REIT 2 funds for affordable housing measures. Where we have traditionally used our REIT funds are for debt service on the fire station. Fire station was reconstructed through a loan. And so we collected, let me go back. REIT funds are typically dedicated towards capital projects. That has changed a little bit over the years where you can dedicate some of the funds towards maintenance of your capital projects. So therefore, the REIT funds, at least in REIT 1, are dedicated to debt service on fire station remodel. REIT 2 has traditionally been used for streets and other capital projects. That collects about $167,000 annually. Of course, it depends on the real estate market. Looks at what happens there. $100,000 or 25% of the available funds can be utilized for use of that fund for affordable housing projects and projects in the city or capital program. And these include planning and acquisition, construction, deconstruction, repair, replacement, rehabilitation, equipment facilities, experiencing homelessness, and affordable housing projects. Again, it's just available for January 2026. And the more specific, I guess, project or option that we've talked about previously is the housing related services sales tax. It starts with 30. It's councilmatic. It goes by council. This is the sales and use tax of 1/10 of 1%. So $1 on $100 you purchase in the city of Shelton, or 1 cent at Mr. Mayor. About $310,000 annual estimate. It's the same as what's being collected for sales tax at this point. It's the same levy amount. The total county rate cannot exceed that 1/10%. So under the RCW, if the city imposed it prior to the county, the city would collect that 1/10%. If the county imposed it after the fact, the county would collect the entire county-wide and essentially make the city whole from what we were collecting previously. If the county imposed that tax before, the city, the county, the entirety of that, and see where not impose that. I mean, I think. Okay. At least 60% of that revenue must be used for constructing or acquiring affordable housing, constructing or acquiring behavioral health related facilities. Again, these could be private partnerships or public partnerships as well. Acquiring land for any of these and funding the operation maintenance costs of new affordable housing units. As well as housing facilities only provided for populations that have below 60% of median income or groups, including those with disabilities or behavioral health disabilities, physical disabilities, behavioral health disabilities, veterans, people who are homeless or at risk of being homeless, unaccompanied youth, young adults, domestic violence survivors. Also includes housing facilities for a population at or below 6% of county median. Copy that? I did. Remaining funds must be used for operation, delivery, or evaluation of behavioral health treatment programs and services or housing services no more than 10% can supplant existing funds. So dedicating existing funds to any of these services supplant 10%, which we're not just from Washington State stats. There's of the 240 cities in the city, about 19 have adopted this levy. But the 30 counties, 22 have adopted, so that certainly affects how many cities can adopt this. Pierce County, King County, there's cities such as Vancouver, down in Clark County, Clark County has a county that are some of the jurisdictions as well. So, last slide is potential uses. We just kind of brainstormed the community development director and myself on how these funds could be utilized or typically utilized with jurisdictions. A citywide housing action plan that's been established, where do the funds go, if they're collected, how do they be spent, how do we put all of our resources or all available resources towards housing in our community and where it's best spent to meet the goals. A planner within the planning department that will focus on housing, could be a most likely associate planner position, probably have time that could really focus on site development, further grant applications, administering any funds that might be collected with the agencies we might partnership or the contracts that might be established, because obviously if you're funding an affordable housing project, we would have a contract with that provider. So that would take some management, make sure that those contracts are being met long term. You could acquire sites, property, and perform some readiness work that needs to be done to get those sites ready for housing. So you can design and construct mitigation sites or emergency shelters, transitional housing, and permanent supportive housing, city-owned properties for potential workforce housing, private public partnerships, etc. Public partnerships. Students with market rate, private projects that can be dedicated to housing. Somebody's will market rate housing project actually potentially go in and purchase portions of that to make those affordable housing and not be one intimately involved in construction of that project. And then utility extensions, maybe leveraging some tax drive funds to match infrastructure grants, or just offsetting some of those public infrastructure costs like green, city utilities, pedestrian facilities, and transportation facilities to some of these projects where we know that they building for. So offset some investments that affordable housing providers have to make to bring those to the market and housing people that need it. So it's interesting, the waiver connection charges right at the end. We just had a discussion today about potential CHIP grant, the connecting housing with infrastructure projects with the Department of Commerce and potential housing project just out the UGA that would connect to city utilities and, apply the city being apply for that grant on behalf of this project. To dedicate and covenant 25% of their housing to affordable housing units. If a fund like this was available, you could offset some of those GFC charges that we don't have in our code now for affordable housing. The only opportunity, correct, is if they increase capacity by putting in infrastructure. So if you had a larger water line through a portion, you can get a credit on your general facility charge because it's a water line provides capacity for future development. Whereas now we don't have any waiver of these in general facility charges. And primarily because we don't have the funds to offset negative utility collect through that opportunity. So quick run through of these options. Again, this is meant as an initial discussion. Frame a further discussion and options the council may want to see. I will say, first and foremost, I haven't had a conversation with the county on their understanding. I'm not sure if the board has made official recommendation. Commissioners and council member staff can form still there at one time. Yes, and what are next steps and options?
I don't believe they have announced it to the commissioners yet, and I don't know when they plan to, probably within the next couple of weeks.
This has been something I've been interested in looking at for the last maybe 2, maybe even 3 years. I've talked to previous league manager about it. I think we've even discussed it maybe briefly. Yeah, we new discussion over the years. It's basically like a joke. It's a penny per dollar. This is our chance to put our skin in the game for homelessness and housing, which we don't have. We don't personally put any of our general fund besides cleaning up the park or something like that into the problem. The county doesn't either out of their general fund. All their money the county gets is through commerce pass through. $2106, $2160, recording fees, all that stuff is all passed through. So this is our chance to do something to address homelessness. And I think that for a penny per dollar and $1 per $100, that's what we want to say. And it's a sales tax on taxable items only. It's not on food and, or anything else like that. I think it's a great start. It's a third of the way of what we know it's going to cost to operate a mitigation site, not to build one, to operate one. So whether it be pallet shelter or tiny homes or whatever it is. And also, again, like just said, we got somebody coming here building, trying to build some duplexes for affordable housing. And they want a discount on the water sewer GFCs. We can't do that because we got to make those whole with our general fund money, which we don't have any extra of that as well to share with anything. So I think that the sales tax version right now is a start. I'm personally not interested in the property tax version right now, but I'm just one person. But I definitely think the 0.1% councilmatic tax to address housing and homelessness is a start. It's a great start. And
I think after just talking to being a tax and raising taxes, it's not gonna look real pretty. I'm always a fan of voter approval. And if we put something out there for everybody to look at and they say they want it, then that's all. I don't like the idea of just forcing down people's throat there. I might did that last year before I got here.
I'm curious about the county. I would like to see what the county wants to do. I don't want to jump the gun if they've got a plan in place. So I kind of want to hear what they're curious, what they're saying.
well, they already,
And it says right here that they would bring it back to us like they already do for the 18.
no,
Right.
no,
Bring it back to us if we pass it first,
Yeah.
which is kind of the concern. If we take it and then the county passes it, we can play the county's game with that money all we want. But if we don't pass it and they pass it, we lose the money and we are only able to kind of decide what happens with that money as much as they want to talk to us about it. That's,
I just want to say that we were put here to make these hard decisions, and we need to make these hard decisions, and we need to aggressively go after this because we have a housing crisis. We're getting told every single week about this housing crisis. We see it in the streets every day. We need to aggressively go after not just the sales tax, but all these forms of taxation. And we were put here to make these hard decisions, and we really need it. And if you are reluctant, just you think that should with all the talk that's out there and the desperation that's out there, this is the least we can do. And you know, if it were not capped, we should go for a much higher percentage. And that's how I feel. And I think if the voters put us here to do this, and that's what the call is for, and I think we should aggressively go after all these forms of income, and that would give us flexibility to decide where it goes. It gives us the power back to us, and we get to create our own future here, not rely on the county, not rely on other folks. We can have our own source of money and decide where we want to go with our housing and how we want to do it, or if we wanted to go ahead and distribute it to the other organizations that are already doing the work. And they all fit under those categories very neatly. So I think this is a chance for the council to make a very strong decision and make a stand on homelessness, and we should take it.
I think it's a dollar per 1,000. Here, so it's a little bit lower than we've been saying.
It's 1/10%.
I kind of agree. I think taking this money allows us to build a plan going forward. I don't disagree with George that I'd rather ask taxpayers if they want to pay more taxes. But this one is councilmatic. And I think that it might allow us to get a plan. So if we did want to, if somebody did want to look at the property tax in the future, which is a voter approved option, we could actually have a plan to say, this is what this would look like. And this is what you're voting on. You know, it'll be a mitigation site. It'll be these items a little bit more than we could without it. I think if we were to go the city planner route or one of the options that were put together by city staff, I like it.
There's now, granted, this is an abbreviated list. There's a lot more work to be done if it went down that road, right? And certainly the collection date needs to be affirmed because we would, with any tax collection, you have to notify Department of Revenue 70 days in advance of collection. You're not receiving that until it's about 2 months before sales tax comes in. After that, so you have a lag. But certainly you can build a reserve, you're not getting, $10,000 extrapolated over 12 months, so you're not collecting that for obviously. So there's a lot of planning that we need to take place to further vet how it goes.
On your comment on the county is currently taking in millions of dollars from multiple sources for. We also have a treatment sales tax, which is millions of dollars. They got 2160, 2163 fees they're getting all the money goes to the county, and the only representation we have is now it's Lindsay on that board and another 7 people or whatever it is. This is our chance to have skin in the game, so we can support. We could even support a nonprofit with this money. Probably we could probably use it to put somebody up. We could, use it to offset the GFCs. We could use it to build a mitigation site. We can use it to operate a mitigation site. We currently have no skin in the game, none at all in the housing homelessness problem right now. And when we get phone calls, we don't blame for it. I mean, even our county commissioners say the housing is Shelton's problem. I mean, homelessness is Shelton's problem. But they get all the money and we got them all the blame. I think this is our chance. Put our skin in the game. It's $1 per 1,000. So you go buy a new TV. Actually, TVs are really cheap today. I looked at TVs the other day. If you buy 3 TVs, it's going to cost you $1 extra. So I think it's a small price to pay. Everybody's contributing to it. Even or out of towners that are driving through town and buying a soda or a pack of cigarettes or a 12-pack of beer or whatever, they're paying to help us with the homeless problem. It's like the transportation benefit district. Everybody who drives our roads is going to use our roads when they stop in our town. So I'm not fond of this, of the property tax one. Property taxes right now are, I believe, a bit high for most people, and I think that we should look at that down the road, but this 1/10 of 1% is the way to go. And I think we should move on it as soon as possible, and I'd like to see an ordinance in front of us in the next couple weeks.
The more we nickel and dime everybody out, the less people are gonna wanna come here and build. That's my
And spend
opinion.
their money here. So like
Yeah, and spend their money here,
in
so.
December, I have people who come from Portland, from Seattle, and when I ask them, why do you come here in December, other than the amazing events we have? They said, A, it's easier to park, and B, because you're cheaper and your taxes are lower than anywhere else to shop for the holiday.
Well, there's no sales tax in Oregon. Why aren't they going to Oregon?
It's easier to
Or
park here.
Oregon's an hour and 20 minutes. There's no sales tax.
I have a large amount of people who come from Seattle and northern Seattle. And
At
if we
point,
take that away from them, then what's the draw?
at 0.1% is not going to be as significant for someone paying for $300, $400 a pop. That's 3 cents, 4 cents. It's 1/10 of 1%. So that also gives us flexibility, especially with the tax. It gives us flexibility to do infrastructure projects and water projects to build up and decrease water rates if we wanted to. So there's a flexibility in the tax, at least. If we decide not to use it for housing, we can use it for infrastructure to set us up for more housing. I think it's a very good flexible plan, and it's the least we could do.
My key concern is if the housing board from the county is already recommending the county do this, as, or whatever it's called, you know. But if they're recommending it, we're going to be in the same boat whether we pass it or not. The difference is whether we have the money to choose. I mean, we can also say, well, the county did that too, but I don't think that's gonna make a difference to the paying the tax.
I do believe that when this first came out, I think I brought it up to the House of the Appellate Advisory Board as an option. I think that I heard about it at DWC in a seminar, and I brought it back to both the city manager and to the housing board. So I believe that I can go back and look if I can find minutes, but I believe that I brought this up, and I've been like, this is a small price to pay for us to have some skin in the game. And like I said, I think that we're talking about people not coming here because they got to pay a dollar per 1,000. You know, I think that's just really not, it's a silly argument.
I'm glad that you know, that everybody likes to get people's arguments. But here's the deal. Most of the homeless programs that we have here, or the things that are helping out with these types of issues, are here in Shelton anyway. So the money's coming here, whether it comes to us or the county anyhow. And you know, as far as I can see, we have enough staffing issues and et cetera that are creating enough shortfalls in a lot of other areas. So now you want to add more skin into the game where we can barely keep up with what we have by adding taxes. You know what I mean? The whole theory behind it, the whole process behind it doesn't sound good to me. If you want to get more money out of people, then you ask them, we vote for it. But coming in here and demanding that, you know, people pay more, granted, if you guys have some money in the bank, I appreciate that and I understand that, but not everybody does. And a few cents to some of my neighbors means everything in the world. I mean, I grant, you know, if your life is that good, great, I appreciate it. And you know, that's great. But I spent a lot of time at the food bank, and you know what? Not everybody around here can afford a few extra cents. I know this, and I know this is a fact. So when I hear about just throwing more money out there every time we come in here, it's a few cents on this, it's a few cents on that. How long until that breaks somebody's back?
County's gonna adopt it anyway, so, and then we get no say in, then again, we get all the complaints.
Before
and we
the
have no
county does
skin in the game.
anything
We have
in the
no skin
city,
in the
they
game.
send it to us, and they say, hey, what do you guys think about this? And if we remain silent and don't say anything, that's our fault. But if they're gonna do something here, and they're gonna fund something that we have given occupancy to, they always give us the opportunity to speak up. Now, however that works here is up to us. But by adding taxes on the people, like I said, that in this time of year, cool. If a couple years from now, things work out a little better, I could understand. But where gas prices and everything else are the way they are, property taxes are the way they are, they're just gonna keep slapping another nickel on everybody's back. Listen, bro, I don't got it forever. You know what I mean? I got about another 15 years before I'm gonna be one of the seniors at the food bank. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, not everybody's gonna turn out that way. I understand, but we gotta remember those people that are.
And 15 years from now, you will not have anything, because we didn't have anything to give you. Because we didn't start this program or start this tax. So we need to start building this up right now. It's way too late. We're behind the game. We're way behind. And, 5 cents is an investment for what we are going to stop in the future. There are more homeless people coming. You don't think they're not?
The sales tax here is currently 9.0%?
No, 8.9.
8.9? Okay. So then enacting this, okay,
Tax back in.
So it would be 9.
okay, so it would be 9 after raising, okay. And I know in Tumwater, Olympia, Lacey, it's like 9.7, 9.8, 9.9, something like that. Anytime you buy anything out there, if you can't buy something here, if you go to Olympia to shop, you're paying for their housing fund and you're helping Olympia and you're not helping our own community. So I see that as a negative. For any of people who, are opposed to the tax, I would hope that they would order online and have their stuff shipped here because they're still paying our taxes here. I think that would help our community. But I will say this, I have spoken to plenty of our constituents that have expressed to me the same thing as Councilmember Blush, that they are already strapped. And that they are saying that if they have to pay more taxes, they could actually end up homeless too. So I think we need to be careful to maintain a balance. So I do think it would help the city a lot. I don't want to put more people out on the street. So I think we should consider this carefully.
I agree with everything you just said.
Well, I'm listening.
I was just gonna, I think it's kind of been clarified a little bit now that Mark, I was gonna go back and ask you about what you had said about the city imposing before the county, but I think that's kind of been clarified now. I guess it just, Lindsay, you had said we might know something in the next couple of weeks. I'm like, what kind of time frame are we looking at here? Like, I mean, it'll be tomorrow. What do we know in that regard, I guess? Like, how quickly do we need to do something?
Board meeting.
It's the fourth Wednesday, I think it is, of the month. So
So what I can do.
Mhm.
See if they. Then. There's
Well,
any movement.
I almost think that's even a relevant conversation. I mean, do we want to help the homeless problem and the housing problem in Shelton as the 7 members of this body, or do we want to not help? I mean, how many phone calls and emails do you get about Community Lifeline or people on front of a business downtown? We actually going to have a chance to have some kind of program that we control, money that we don't have to ask the county for through a third party to make a decision, and frankly, it's not working anyway because we just chase them from the park to the tracks and the tracks to the park and back and forth and all here and there. And here's our chance. Now, granted, if we had this money, we will definitely probably partner with the county for mitigation site because they do have the bulk of the money. They do get all the money from commerce, all the pass-through money. So we could partner with the county with our $300,000 that we would earn a year to have a mitigation site for its operations because we know that Salvation Army in where are they now? Longview is like $1.2 million a year to operate a 50-unit mitigation site pallet shelter. I don't ever see a problem finding somebody to give us $1 million to build one, but you don't have $1 million a year to operate one. And this is a third of the way there to do that. Partner with the county maybe, and they paid the other $700,000. And if we actually have a 50-unit mitigation site somewhere, and Brewer Park is the park again. I mean, we got to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. So I don't understand why, this is a great option. This is the state has given us an option for 1/10 of 1%, a very small amount of money to a consumer, a sales tax, not on your milk or your eggs, on a TV set, a bicycle, a pack of cigarettes.
If we raise it 0.1%, we're still a bargain around the surrounding area. We're not going up to 9.7, we're going up to 9. So we're still a bargain. So you're still going to find your bargain here in Shelton. So I think it's an easy decision for me to make. And I don't have a lot of money. I live on Coda Street. I live right in the middle of downtown. And yeah, our neighbors are hurting. And 5 cents on a $500 purchase is nickels and dimes, but nickels and dimes do add up. But when we spread it out for everybody, it's a nickel and a dime. It's not $100 for you, $100 for you. Everyone has to share in this. And we're still paying a way lower rate than surrounding areas. So Shelton's still a bargain. Come to Shelton and shop.
So are we looking for consensus to move forward? Have you move forward with
Well, I
this?
think a majority, I don't know.
Okay,
Obviously not a consensus, but I think that if I want to make it clear if that's the case, but the council is looking for more information, does it? Would potentially support or not support too, right? In order to educate or as much as we can, as well as our public, some marching orders I heard about, reaching out to the county, see exactly what their plan, what they may, what they may be, what they may be considering. If most of the sample ordinances we saw, just recognize the funds or collection of funds and then determine later how the city determine how it's spent. So it's not a great amount of work to put that together. We'll also make it work, put it for a public hearing, and a couple of council meetings to make sure we have the opportunity for as much comment as possible. But if there's anything else that you would like to hear prior to that tonight or in the next few days, so we can further.
Let's go with support and then we'll go with what else you
I'm
want.
ready for full speed on the tax and for looking deeper at the other revenue sources. But I'm at full speed. I'm with Mr. Mayor on this one.
I'm open to talking about it some more. I will say we've heard from Need a Connection and other organizations that they're able to help people, but there's nowhere to put them. So I understand we have some need for some permanent supportive housing or something. So I'm open to discuss this, but I do think we should have a public hearing. I do think we should talk to the constituents.
Yeah.
Sure.
I agree with that.
I'm supportive of aggressively going after the tax. I think that this is important to be part of the solution.
Every week we're asked what we're doing about homelessness, and this is a step in that direction. So I'd like to see more.
That is
I'd love to see more about the property tax levy and hear what our constituents have to think. And I am definitely not real keen on raising taxes.
well, there's a consensus to move forward with 1/10. The property tax, I'm willing to, if you want to have a hearing on, or you're looking at that, that's fine. I think that's a little stiff right now, property tax. I think that'd be a hard sell to the people. 50 cents per 1,000. It's pretty big. Some, huh?
Why it's a vote.
Yeah, I think it's a vote we're going to pay for to put on the ballot, and it's going to fail because it's a lot of money.
People are broke. They don't want to spend more money.
So, okay, so I think if we have, okay, now do we want to see anything else about that?
Yeah, certainly, I guess any other information, but at least on the top of your head, and obviously you've got some time to think about it, respond to anybody, any further direction, I'm happy to develop that into a report that I think.
No other questions for me, so.
What I'll do is, I sort of looked at some of the communities that have instituted this, some of the ordinances I didn't spend granted a lot of time researching how those are good out, and what kind of programs are surrounding that now. There's some interesting in house like go back a little bit more, and provide some additional it's occurring, how they establish that. Any less of these funds, we're all unique. Every community is unique and has different needs. I guess we might not be have similar needs. It's just where you resources to be the most effective in your
Right. Any other comments or questions about this? Council have any new items for discussion? Just want to mention, I'm gonna talk about the road.
Okay, yeah, and one. Major.
I just wanted to mention that I had a phone call today about the concerns in front of the college and that should be a school zone, and I've already brought it to Mark. And I've mentioned to Aaron as well, that there's 3 lanes of traffic there, same problem, kind of problem that we have up there for Oakland Bay Junior High, I've been talking about for my whole entire tenure here. There's 3 lanes of traffic, kids start crossing, a couple cars stop. Car in the middle just keeps going, doesn't see the kids don't see the car. And the lady honked and stopped the kids, not the car just kept going. So we'll be looking into making that a school zone, and asking the school to provide us some signs maybe, and slow some traffic there. At least during what a 7-4, is that how they do
I'm
that?
gonna go back and look at some information. There was some discussion. Just when I started this tenure with Olympic College and Shelton School District, about this is neighbors referring to Cedar High School. They're at the Olympic College campus. And what transpired there and some decisions that were made. The one thing we have to look forward to, this is down the road a bit, is that's a fully signalized intersection with the Olympic Heights and future development up there. We have to look at that actual time frame and what kind of mitigation measures would be taken beforehand that would be essentially bad just in terms wasted, what we want to make sure our investment is making is creating the most benefit for our students and pedestrians using that area without maybe it coming out later for another project. We need something to be ensured that it's the project. There's some partnerships there.
Yeah, so we've been talking to the school district about the school zone speed signs that flash, use the speed. The current signs are cable driven. They have to use a laptop and a serial cable and the software 2005 or something. And with the new Safe Routes to School project, we started putting in some new installations that is all web based. And it's important, they need to change the schedule on those signs for Memorial Days, teacher and service days, and those sorts of things. And going there with the serial cable, for them, they got, I think right now, there's 24 of them that they got a program with the serial cable. We're getting them converted over to those Safe Routes to School. So one thing we've spoken to them about though, is that if they buy the signs, we'll put them in and we'll maintain them for you. Okay, and they're solar activated. Signs, from what I recall, they're a little expensive. They're about $4,000 a unit. And so it does, bite a little bit in the budget, but we'll take them over because we are maintaining the other signs. Some will need to be replaced too. So it's an active conversation we're having with them. Hopefully their facilities group is budgeting for some new signs this year. And but we could see to get some in at Olympic College. Same time signals going in, all that. I think it's a good goal to look at that.
What's it take to change the speed limit though? Bring it down from 40 to 20 or whatever it is, 30 to 20. Right there.
You gotta talk to the state also.
Yeah.
The state, typically the state walks up the transportation engineering department, we need to approve that. What happens if you reduce the speed to 20 and everywhere else around there's 30, people are just, you're gonna have crashes, people are just gonna speed, right? So those signs are really effective because of the enforcement mechanism that, it's a law. It is telling you, you go 20 miles an hour in this school zone, pretty hefty infraction.
We'll discuss with chief about enforcement too. There's people time. To get up there, and I'm sorry, it's not still starting. Darkness earlier. In the morning, later in the morning, earlier at night, it's appropriate. We can get that. Spots.
Signal's an important improvement, and they're also putting in an enhanced lighting in the intersection, which will go a long ways.
I mentioned that was in the near future. So.
Obviously, that's a good thing. Yeah. When they start building houses and they actually have church generations to trade with that. So yes, we have to build something in the interim to make sure that's.
It's like 30 houses, right? Is it 30 houses they have to put light in? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And we do have a design in the way for the link that way. Crossing. Or, excuse me, Boston.
Right. Okay, and you had some,
I just wanted to mention, next week is the council meeting on the 15th, the first meeting, we require the pre-registration for the Zoom attendance for, public comment. The form is active on our city website, it's up and rolling, there's instructions there, so, we'll make sure we advertise that for individuals to, provide public comment remotely, at that meeting, so we're up and going there and interested to see, how that affects individuals, and we certainly want feedback, to make sure that it's still meeting the needs, you want to.
right, anything else for Mark? Right. This meeting is adjourned at 7:05 PM.